So now that we know how to get all movies, it's time to learn how to get a single movie. And in order to get a single movie, we need to provide one thing. We need to provide one thing because let me head on over to the database and show you why. Now in the database, for example, we have one movie called that has a title of Joker, and the ID is 1. And in order to get that specific movie, we need to tell our database, hey database, we need to get that movie. So we need to provide the database with either the ID or the title. So we need to tell the database, get us the movie that has an ID of 1, for example, or get us the movie that has the title of Joker. Therefore, we need to do that. We need to tell the database that we need that specific movie. So let's translate that into code. So in our project, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new file and then I'm going to name it get underscore movie underscore by underscore name dot php. And the content is going to be very, very similar to get all movies except for a few things. Because both are selecting from the database, getting something from the database. Therefore, I'm going to copy the code from here. I'm going to copy most of the code because it's going to be similar, and I'm going to remove what needs to be removed and what needs to be edited. So I'm going to start by copying this part. We need all of this part. Let me copy this part, and then in the get movie by name, I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to close the PHP here tag, PHP question mark, and then angular bracket. Now, after we have here this response array, which is going to store the result, what we want to do is that we want to use if, and then we want here to give the database the name, the title of the movie. So to do that, we need to say is set, and then we need to pass the ID, the title of that movie. So I'm going to say here get, because it's going to be a get request. So it's going to be a get request, and then we want the get request, the parameter of the get request is the title, because we want to provide the title to get the complete information about the movie. So we provide the title and we get the complete information. We get the ID, we get the storyline, we get the language, we get the genre, etc. So here we say we use if statement to check if we provided the title or not. So if we provided the title, then if the title is set, if the title has been specified by us, by the caller, by the user, then we can here go ahead and get the movie. Else meaning that the title has not been set, meaning that here no movie title was provided. So we can't get the movie because we don't know the title of that movie. So here, in case we can go ahead and get the movie, what we want to do is that we want to store, first of all, we want to store the title that we provided or the user provided, title, which is the movie title, which is the get title. And this get title is the get request. This is a get request parameter which here parameter which stores which has the title, and then the next thing that we need to do is that we need to use the connection. Here we need to use the connection con for connection, and then we need to use the prepare to make our query. So I'm going to say prepare, and then what we want to do is that we want to select something. So I'm going to say select, and then what we want to select is that we want to select everything. We want to get everything from the database. So we want to get the ID. We want to get the uh, uh, we already have the title, but I'm gonna just say here title. We also need the language, lang for language. We also need the genre. Let me check the database. So in the database, we need to get all of these. We need to get the language, genre, release date, box office run, time, and the stars. So here genre, and then we want also the release date. We want the box office. We want the stars and runtime, run underscore time, and we want the stars. And we want all of these from. I'm going to add this in a new line, and then I'm going to say from, because we want all of these from where? From the movies table. So movies. Here it should be movies, and then we just say here where here we say where movies, and then where the title, where the title is equal to the question mark, which is the title, which is this title that I'm gonna append. I'm gonna append this now to the query. So I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna say statement. I'm gonna store this in the statement. I'm gonna create here a variable called statement, and then I'm gonna say here statement. Let me here say statement, and then I'm gonna call the function called bind parameters, bind param, which is a function that is allow us to append this title to the query, because here we want to get the ID, the title, the language, the genre, the release date, all of these from the movies table where the title is equal to question mark. So we need to replace this question mark with the parameter that I'm going to pass here. So here I'm going to say, here this bind param function takes two parameters. The first parameter is the type of data you want to pass. So the type of data is string, because it's a title, and then the variable itself. So the variable is title. That way, this function is going to replace this question mark with the title, with this title. And now we are good to go. Now we can move on and use the execute to execute this query. So I'm going to say if statement, and then execute, and then here we execute. In case of success, here success, here else failure. In case of success, what we want to do is that here in case of success, we want to get the data. But unlike before, in order to get the data, we need to use a function called bind result, because now we are getting a single movie. We aren't getting all of the movies. Instead, we are getting a single movie. So we need to use a function here called bind param. So I'm going to use here the statement again, and then I'm going to call a function called bind result, not bind result, which is going to bind the result to the statement. So what we want is the ID, and we want also the title, and we also want the storyline, and we also want the language, and we also want the genre, and finally we want the release date and the box office, and we want also the run time, and finally the stars. And make sure that the spelling is correct here. I have a typo. It must be $sign first and then genre, and then at the end don't forget the semicolon. And that is it. Finally, we store the result we use the fetch function. We use here a function called fetch. So I'm going to say here statement, and then fetch, and then this function is going to get the data. So this is going to bind the result to the statement, and then this fetch is going to get the result. It's going to get the ID, the title, the storyline, etc. Finally, we create an array called movie to store the result that we fetched here. So I'm going to create here an array called movie, which is going to be an array, and it's going to have the following key value pairs. So it's going to have ID, which is going to be the ID, because the statement now has the ID, has the title, has the storyline, has everything. So here I'm going to get just the ID, and then comma, and then the title, and then arrow, which is very important in order to make a key value pair, and then here title. So this is the key, and this is the value. The value is the value that we got from the database, and this is the key that we are going to use to access the value. And then storyline, and then again arrow, and then storyline, and then we have also the language here, lang, and then comma, and then we have also the genre, and then release date, and finally the box office and the runtime, box office and the runtime, runtime, and finally the star or the stars. And before you move on, you need to double check your variables, and your here you need to double check the key and the value, make sure that you don't have any typos. And finally we store all of this in the response. Remember, we have this response which stores any result we want to send to the user. So here I'm going to use the response, and then I'm going to store a few keys. I'm going to create a few keys in this response array, and I'm going to store the values that I want. So the first thing that I'm going to store is the error. So the error is going to be here false. There is no error here. At this point, there is no error. And here, by the way, it's going to be equal. Here, equal. It's going to be equal to false. And then response, and then I'm going to store the movie, and the movie is an array which is basically this array. So here, movie. And finally, we need the response, and then the message. So the message, I'm going to say here, a movie has been here pulled out or returned successfully. And we are done here for this. In case of success, we are done. In case of failure, it's very simple. All we need to do in case of failure is that we need to use the response, and then we need to say that the error is true, because at this point there is an error here. The error is going to be true, and then we can optionally use a display or send a message that just tells the user that there is an error. Here we can say movie. We could not get the movie. And finally, in case of else, what we want to do is that also we want to display an error, but this error is different. This is actually not an error. Here in this case, no movie title was provided. Here this else refers or belongs to this if statement. Here, movie was provided. Here, movie was provided through get request or get parameter. But here there is no movie, the movie hasn't been provided. So here we need to tell the user that response, and then we can say that there is an error. I think it's important to be consistent, so I'm going to say error is equal to true because it's considered an error. I'm going to consider this an error. Technically, it's not an error, but just to not to confuse ourselves and also not to confuse the user. So here I'm going to say message, and then the message is going to be please provide a movie title, because there is no movie. So here the error is going to be true and the message is going to say please provide a movie title. Finally, we need to display the results. So to display the results, we just say echo and then JSON encode, because we want to convert the response to JSON. So here I'm going to pass the response and we are good to go. Let me now click on file and then save all. And then let's test now this in the browser. So I'm going to head on over to the browser. And before I do so, make sure that the server is running. If you don't have the server running, you need to make sure that you need to run your server. Let me now head on over to the browser. Now in the browser, instead of using get all movies, I'm going to use the other file, the new file, which is this, get movie by name. So you need to pay attention to this because it's going to be different. Here we say get movie underscore movie underscore by underscore name. Now if you hit enter, as you can see here, it's going to say error true and the message please provide a movie. This is because the movie hasn't been provided. So how can we provide a movie? The question is, how can we provide a movie? Well, to do that, we pass a get parameter. And to do that, you need to pass that parameter in the URL. So in the URL, we say question mark and then name or title. Title because, why title? Because here the request, the get parameter is title, is called title. Therefore, in the browser, it must be title. Title and then equals to, and then the title that you are interested in. Let me say here Joker and then hit enter and see what's going to happen. So if I type Joker and hit enter, as you can see, I got the movie. I got the movie successfully from the database, and it contains the information. But here it says, unfortunately, it says here null for all of these. So we have a problem. We actually have a problem here in our script. Let me check that one more time. And the problem is that I forgot here to pass the storyline here. In the select, here I must say storyline, and then comma, and then language, and then genre, and then release date, and then box office. Make sure that you have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and make sure that they are ordered correctly. Make sure that this is correct. Let me now save and try one more time. Here, let me refresh and see. As you can see, I got the data successfully. So here it says Joker. It says this is the Joker movie, and then language English, and then genre action, and then release date, etc. Now let's try to provide a title that is incorrect. Let me say, for example, Batman, and let me hit enter. And as you can see here, it's going to return null, null, null. Everything is null because there is no movie that has a title of Batman. So that is for getting a movie by title. And this is how it works, and this is how you can get a movie by title.